Hi guys, welcome to a Chelsea edition of the Lion and the Liverbird Podcast, where we break down all the madness that's happening outside of Stamford Bridge as Chelsea are away in the US, where you're staying, Rohit, where they play the Club World Cup. So it's been another crazy week for the Blues. They played LAFC, I believe, in Atlanta, in what felt like was a training match. I don't know, like there weren't fans in the stadium at all, apparently. But Chelsea put in a pretty decent performance. They got the win. I think that one of the talking points has to be the lineup that Enzo Maresca put out. I know that's something you want to speak about, Rohit. And then obviously the other two angles that we need to talk about is obviously what happened to Mudryk and his more or growing legal troubles when he seems set for a longer ban. And then Chelsea are also interested in another Brighton player, Joao Pedro, and how
Surprise, surprise.
surprise, surprise. So we spoke about the Chelsea Man City connection last week. There's a Chelsea Brighton
Yeah.
connection going on this week. So Rohit, take it
That's
away.
that's a that's a longer connection.
That's a,
Purana rishta, as they say in Hindi.
so Rohit, take it away. Let's first start with the Chelsea performance against LAFC in Atlanta. It was
Yeah.
played on a Monday afternoon. So
Yeah, and
does it
it's
make
it's
sense?
like
I mean, yeah.
I don't know, it's peak summer here, so hot Monday afternoon in Atlanta, huge city known for its bad traffic, and the stadium was basically empty, right? I think to start with, FIFA were very optimistic about the crowd, so their ticket prices were also insanely high. But recently they've brought it down back to earth because some of these games don't have as much attendance, right? And the Chelsea game was one of them. So of course the timing of the game had to matter, but then I was just watching Real Madrid versus I think Al Hilal yesterday, which was a
Mhm.
draw. That was like the stadium was full, right? So that kind of goes to show the pull that Real Madrid still has, right? We talk about it all the time, why players want to go there. I mean, it's very apparent why, right? But anyways, so it was played in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is a fantastic stadium in Atlanta. It's a covered stadium, so I think it was air conditioned, so the players didn't have to worry about the heat and all of that. And the first thing that surprised me was the lineup that Maresca put out, right? I thought, okay, FIFA Club World Cup, LAFC, MLS team, a lot of these young players are going to get a run in from the get go, maybe a few experienced players coming back in, especially because a lot of our top players also just played in the international break, right? In South America, in England, various places. But no, Maresca basically put out a full strength squad, much to my surprise. Only difference was Enzo didn't start, but Lavia started. Those guys are kind of exchangeable, which I think goes to show how seriously Chelsea is taking this tournament. Maybe to win the money and to get more eyeballs. And the main thing is we still don't have a front of shirt sponsor. Maybe this is the way you get another extra 10, 15 million a year from the front of shirt sponsor. A couple of good things, obviously. The first goal was very beautiful. Nicholas Jackson, played a killer through ball after dribbling past a few players, showing what he's really good at. And Neto finished it off pretty clinically. And our new striker, Delap, came on, replaced Jackson, at the end of the game, and he had a pretty decent game. And he set up Enzo. He made some very intelligent runs and put a beautiful curling cross in. And Enzo, who's become a box crashing midfielder from a number 6 deep lying midfielder, which has been interesting. He crashed the box and had a smart finish. So overall, a 2-0 win. I would say a lackluster performance, but that was kind of expected as like a first game of this particular tournament. But like I said, what I was surprised with was the strength of the team. I hope Maresca gives a lot of these people a rest because I don't think this is sustainable, right? After such a long season coming here and playing, maybe, that's going to cause long-term injuries, especially for players like Caicedo
Mhm.
and Cucurella, who basically don't have a deputy in the squad. Uh, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about in this game is personally as a fan, and I know a lot of Chelsea fans were looking forward to seeing two players play, right? Delap, obviously, he's our new center forward. He's supposed to solve a lot of issues. But the second player was Andrey Santos, right? He's this Brazilian wonder kid that we bought a couple of years ago. He's been on loan to a couple of clubs, and last year he was on loan to our sister club Strasbourg over in France, and he played really, really well. One of the top players in Liga, one of the most touted youngsters, and he didn't get a run in at all.
Wow.
Very surprisingly. So we have this new Portuguese midfielder called Dario Sugo, a destroyer, like a backup to Caicedo. He got a run in, but not Andre Santos. Very, very interestingly. And so some people have been talking about how this probably could be a move to sell him off. because we bought him for pretty cheap, I think 15 or under 20 million, from his club, which is still quite a lot for like back then a 17-year-old kid. But now he's at least worth 40, 50 million. And you know how Chelsea functions, right? If there's a market opportunity, they will buy or they will sell. So that scares me a little bit. Chelsea play Flamengo tomorrow. If he doesn't get a run in that game, and if he's not injured or anything, which he doesn't seem to be from his social media stuff, I think this would be a situation where Chelsea are going to try to cash in on him, which is really sad because all Chelsea fans have been looking forward to this guy. This is one of the positives of our early recruitment, and not giving him a chance would be disastrous, I think. So that was the game. So I think some interesting matches coming up. Like I said, Flamengo and Esperanza Tunis from Tunisia next up against Chelsea. But I think one thing I want to talk about and pick your brain, it's not related to Chelsea, but related to the Real Madrid Al Hilal game. I've been watching a few games here and there, and you would expect, okay, after the European teams, the next teams to do well would be the South American teams.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's the Saudi teams, who are really putting up a fight. They drew 1-1 with Real Madrid. So all the recruitment that the Saudis have done over the last year or two is bearing fruit. And the Al Hilal team had a lot of good, global players, starting from Khalidou Koulibaly, Bonu in goal, Cancelo, Joao Neves, and a lot of these players were quite good, and they gave Real Madrid a run for the money. So what do you think about like the Saudi clubs kind of usurping the throne of the South American clubs?
I found that to be very interesting. And then Saudi Arabia also really did well in the World Cup that Messi won. They were the only team that beat Argentina. So my only fear is, what is the end goal of the Saudi project? Is it just to get the big players in for a few years, build the division up and see what can happen? Because obviously the Saudi league will never compete with the European league. Sure, you can pay the big money and get those players in, but very few players in the twilight of the careers or the best players will ever go there when they're in the prime, like a Salah or a Van Dijk. Will it help the Saudi players is my other worry. Like, you're getting all these players who are in the faggot of the career, like in the 32, 33s. I know N'Golo Kante did really well for his club and he was called back in the France team. But what's the end goal of the Saudi thing? Because I've seen quite a few videos from the Saudi stadiums and they're empty, even with Cristiano Ronaldo playing and he's doing all of his I don't know, the Siu, and he's picked up a lot of Arabic words, and it's like yalla, exactly. So that's my only concern, is this a sustainable thing? Will one day the Saudi money dry up and they're like, no, because this is something that's happened to the ISL in India. When this started, the ISL, we had all these big names. We had, I think, David Trezeguet coming. We had Alessandro Del Piero. I remember seeing him. We had Elano from Manchester City. I think we also had Andrey Santos from Arsenal, the old Andrey Santos, and a lot of other players. I think was it Kalu or Maluda? One of Maluda, yeah. So there were so many really good players, and the level of football was supposed to become better with these players coming in and helping the teams. And the teams had tie-ups with Atletico Madrid. ATK Kolkata had that, but if you look at the quality of football now, it's disastrous.
It's become a gimmick, right? It's become more of a gimmick. So let's see.
Yeah.
The only kind of difference is, I know Michael Emiliano, who used to be Chelsea's technical director, is in charge of the entire Saudi project, and he's a smart man. So maybe he'll figure out a way. But that's a good point. Okay, so quickly to round out the two rest of the Chelsea discussions, back to Chelsea. In terms of the transfer market, we are looking for an attacking midfielder on the left-hand side because we don't really have anybody right now. We talked about the Gittens episode, the Gittens saga last week, and that's kind of still going on in the background, although Gittens is playing for Dortmund in the same Club World Cup. And so after Gittens, we've been linked to two other players. One is Malick Fofana from Lyon. He's the one who replaced Bradley Barcola. So really exciting, very technical player. And I saw a little bit of his highlights. You can't tell, which, is his stronger foot.
Oh.
He's equally good with his left and right. I know there have been more of these players coming up these days, but this guy is at a different level. Like, you can't tell, which one is his stronger foot, but he's more of a creative player, slightly shorter in stature. And the other player that we've got linked with, like you rightly pointed out, is a Brighton player, Joao Pedro. I know Newcastle is also after him. Joao Pedro is a versatile forward. He could play on the left, he could play on the center forward. But let's see who Chelsea end up with, because we definitely need at least two, players, because we don't have any senior left wingers. So I think that's going to be the transfer saga that's going to carry on. And then finally, we want to spend some time talking about poor Meladonium Mudryk. I should not be calling him that, right? So he's been finally formally charged after like 6-7 months of being provisionally suspended. I don't know what this murkiness is by the FA. So I think the maximum kind of sentence for this is a 4-year ban, which is unlikely because he's had clear tests back in August, as recent as in August. I think only after that in September, October did he get caught. And Mudryk has been pleading innocence, right? He's saying he hasn't changed his routine. He doesn't know how this came into his system. And then the interesting kind of similar case that has happened recently is with Paul Pogba, right? He was banned for 18 months, so there's some precedence there. And Mudryk has hired the same law firm that represented Pogba, in the Court of Arbitration for Sports and all of that, right? So in a way, I'm looking at it through the positive kind of side. So he's already served like 6 to 8 months of a ban, and then going by Pogba's example, if he gets 18 months or so, he probably just has about a year of a ban left. And of course, Chelsea have him on like a 80-year contract or something. So even if he gets bad for a couple of years, he still have like 4 years left on his contract, and maybe he can make a comeback. I just feel bad for him. I don't know what you think about the situation.
So the funny thing I read online and I shared this with you is like, it's got to be fake news, because how can somebody be taking performance enhancing drugs and be this bad? Like, that's all I can say. So
I think Mudryk has a tattoo that says "talent alone does not kind of guarantee success" or something like that. So that's a funny thing, maybe. Everybody thought he was referring to hard work, but he may have been referring to performance enhancing drugs. Nobody knows.
So there's that saying, right? That ability is nothing without availability. Neither of it falls for Mudryk anymore. Neither does he have ability, nor does he have availability. But yeah, it's a little sad when stuff like this happens. Obviously, I don't know what happened and how it got into a system. Obviously, there's so many different things that people take to stay in shape. Something could have happened. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I want to know what Chelsea do with him. Do they want to sell him up? I don't think anybody's going to buy him also, right?
No, you can't sell him, right? Because we bought him for like 60 million, and then add-ons. None of the add-ons are going to kick in. That's a positive. But still, 60 million loss on the books is unsustainable, right? So they'll have to wait it out. And like I said, if I'm being optimistic, if assuming he has like just 12 more months of ban left, based on Pogba's example, he'll be available next year. He'll still be 25, so quite young. Maybe, you can get something out of him later on. We never know. I think, that's about it. I think that was our last talking point, Adim. All the listeners, please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast, and let us know what you think. What do you think about the Andrey Santos aspect, right? Him not getting any game time. Do you think, the Chelsea management is up to our balancing books again? Will he be sold? Let us know. And who do you think we should buy for our left wing position? Should it be Joao Pedro, Gittens, Fofana, or should we go back for Sancho? I don't know. Double dip on Sancho. Anyways, please comment and let us know what you think, and let us know what you think about these specific topics. And we'll see you again next week after Chelsea hopefully qualify for the round of 16 in the FIFA Club World Cup. Bye bye.